Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the ASMG Back Pass. We're going to review some of the action in the UPSL Georgia Premier Division from this past weekend. We also have games in the U.S. Open Cup that are of concern for the Georgia Conference. We have teams still competing in that in the third round. But we'll get started this week with what happened in the regular season in the Premier Division. The races are taking shape now. We're looking for someone to take the lead in the zone championships in both zones. Also, the top four positions are the playoff positions that these teams are fighting for postseason play. And of course, the bottom teams in each zone will be relegated to Division One for the 2026 spring season. So we'll start with the first game in the review from zone number one, Pachuca, Georgia, with a 4-2 victory over Georgia Athletic SC. This has particular significance towards the relegation race where Georgia Athletic currently are mired in the mud there. And it's a great result for Pachuca because that vaults them up in the zone one standings to second place. And it was a good result for them, and they're putting themselves in a pretty good position for the playoffs as a high seed. But Georgia Athletic are going to have to try to see what they can salvage in the final 2 weeks of the season here. But they're looking like favorites for the drop this season. And, it's unfortunate for them because they started out so well with a 5-0 victory in their first game of the season, but have not been able to do anything since then. Pachuca has had sort of a roller coaster ride, but they've started to finish here strongly, and the standings position that they have in the league table is a testament to that. So really good result for Pachuca, Georgia. Georgia Athletics still needing to get something done to get going to have any type of survival ideas for the rest of the season. The second game in Zone 1, there was only two games in Zone 1. FC Columbus Elite with another victory over the Georgia Impact SC. This is a pretty significant win with Columbus defeating a very strong team in Georgia Impact who have done wonders this season. Wilfred Camden with his brace goes top of the Golden Boot race, which we'll look at a little bit later. So he's been on fire since leaving Kalanji Pro Profile. In a controversial move, I would have to say, but he's been a wonderful acquisition for Georgia Impact, and just can't stop scoring. But it wasn't enough against the Columbus Elite in this game, and they have done a really good job of getting themselves off the bottom of the table and getting themselves in contention towards the mid-table. And we'll see what happens in these final couple of games that they have to navigate before they get to the end of the season. But I think survival is pretty certain for them right now, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of the teams that are fighting below them. So we'll go on to Zone 2, and this is the shocker result. Atlanta United with a 9-1 victory over Dalton United. This personally was a shocker for me because although Atlanta United would have obviously been favored in this match, they have a lot to play for. They're still chasing a zone title. You would expect more out of Dalton United FC. Allowing 9 goals is unheard of at this level, and particularly from a team like Dalton United, who are a team typically looking to challenge for a zone title and playoffs and postseason play. But this season, they've just not had it. And in particular, this game, the game that was on ASMG TV, they look toothless and unorganized and ill-prepared. And I'm not sure where that problem is, but Dalton have a problem to solve here. They've had recent good results, but this really undoes all of that. And so I think as far as a playoff spot, I don't think that they're ready for the playoffs, even if they were able to make it there, if they're going to perform in this way. But Atlanta United, they looked in mid-gear, they were able to get 9 goals, and it was just one thing after another with them. But it was a total dominating performance from the first whistle to full time. And they're putting that pressure on Portros, who are in action tonight against Scenic City. So it'll be interesting to see how this will turn out for Atlanta United as the closing games happen this season. And Dalton United, I think right now just finishing out the season, try to reorganize and get ready for 2026 and see what they can do about that is going to be their goal at this point. So that's the first game in Zone 2. The next game in Zone 2 is FC Birmingham falling to Scenic City FC. Great result for Scenic City FC, who are also in action tonight. But they're trying to solidify that playoff spot in their first ever Premier Division appearance in Georgia in the UPSL. FC Birmingham, what can you say? Snake bit. Again, another close game for them. They're very, very close to getting over the hump, but they just haven't been able to do that. They've had a lot of issues off the field that I think have been affecting them on this, but otherwise on the field, it's just they're not getting the breaks. And here they fall again, dropping all 3 points in the Zone 2 race there. They're flirting with relegation with North Georgia United, but they're not in the relegation spots yet. And so they have enough games to play themselves into safety, but they do have to start getting results and getting points to make that happen. So we'll have to see. We'll wait and see what will happen with the results coming up in the next few weeks for them. Scenic City looked pretty good. Important game, like I say, tonight against Portros FC, against the champions elect, and we'll have to see if they can help Atlanta United out by drawing some points off of Portros or not. So, and the last game in Zone 2 was a game that had to be abandoned due to weather. There was a lightning situation and severe weather during this game at Shiloh between Soccer Saves Lives and LSA Norcross Pro. The game was tied at 2-2 in the 61st minute when we had to draw it close. This was a game on ASMG TV. They will resume this game in the 61st minute, play the final 29 minutes at Shiloh next week. I believe it's going to be a Wednesday evening. Stay tuned to the ASMG TV YouTube channel. If you subscribe, you'll get notifications when this game is scheduled and when it goes live. You also can go to the UPSL.com website to see the progress of this rescheduling. But this is a fairly important game for both teams. Both teams are fighting for playoff spots at this point. LSA Norcross have recently had a dip in form that has brought them down to a space that's precariously close to being outside of the playoff picture. But they're still in it at the moment, but they do need to start making sure that they complete these games with positive points. Soccer Saves Lives just outside the playoff spots want a victory to catapult themselves into contention. So very, very important game here. Check it out next week on ASMG TV to see who gets the advantage as we go into the final parts of the 2025 fall season. All right, so before we get into the U.S. Open Cup results, which are very interesting as well, we'll have to take a look at the league table after this past weekend of action. We'll start with zone number 1. Atletico Beaufort, you see there, after playing 8 games on 19 points. Pretty good lead as they have to finish their last 2 games of this season. They, too, like many of our teams, have had facility issues. A very serious subject that I've been talking to many of the teams about for next season. We're going to probably have some solutions for some of these teams to have a little bit more dependable place and dependable facilities to work with in the 2026 season. But despite those things, they've been able to stay in pole position in zone number 1. With them is Pachuca, Georgia, on 14 points behind them. Atletico close to clinching. However, Kalanji per profile do have 2 games in hand still, and they also are in action tonight, much like Portros is, as they make up one of those games, and they're going to have some fixture congestion themselves. But and they're also still in the U.S. Open Cup, so there's still a lot of action for Kalanji per profile to be involved in, and still, despite most likely going to be in the playoffs, they still want that zone championship and trophy. So they're going to try to make up those games with maximum points to get them a level on points with Atletico Buford. But for the rest of the season after that, if they're able to do that, they're going to have to hope that Buford drops points, because Atletico Buford owns the head-to-head tiebreaker with them. So it's going to be neck and neck with them. And below them is Georgia Revolution, who occupy that last playoff spot for now. But they have Georgia Impact breathing down their necks, just 2 points shy of them. But Georgia Impact have played the most games in both zones at 9. So they have one more game to finish out before the postseason play starts. They're going to need a lot of help if they're going to make it to the playoffs. But I think their main goal for the Impact, that is, their main goal was survival, and they've accomplished that. And so a bonus would be if they were able to sneak into the playoffs, but there would have to be a monumental collapse of Georgia Revolution, and I don't think that's happening before the end of the season. So that race is almost solidified. We almost have those 4 teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and 4 pretty high-powered and talented teams. So it's going to be an interesting postseason as we get close to that. And down near the bottom, we got FC Columbus Elite. Pretty good position here with 2 games to go on 7 points as far as survival. Georgia Athletic, they're going to have to finish with maximum points, in my opinion, if they hope to survive after this season. They're on the same number of games, same goal difference, but with 3 points after 8 games and 2 games to go, they're still 4 points behind FC Columbus Elite. So they need 2 results in a row, and they also need FC Columbus to drop all their points for the rest of the season. That's, in recent form, you don't see that happening, but it is football and anything can happen. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on in these last couple of weeks here for these teams, both for the relegation playoff race and for the zone title. But it's starting to look a little clearer now in Zone 1. But as we look over to Zone number 2, we realize that there's a completely different picture at play here. Far from being settled, it's a very muddied picture between the title race for the zone title, the playoff places, and even the relegation zone. And so when you look at the top 3, all tied on points at 15, it's a little deceptive because Portros FC has 3 games in hand over LSA Norcross and 2 over Atlanta United. Portros has defeated both Atlanta United and LSA Norcross Pro, so they own the head-to-head tiebreaker. Both Portros and Atlanta United have defeated LSA, and so those 2 hold the advantage over LSA in the tiebreaker as well, the head-to-head. And so the first, second, and third are that way accurately here as you see them. But a lot can happen towards the end of the season because Portros has those 3 games in hand. They're not gimmies, and so they have to win those. And Atlanta United, if they win out and can take advantage of any faltering by Portros, they can steal the zone title. Same for LSA Norcross Pro. If they can win out and teams ahead of them drop. So it's a very interesting picture for the zone title in Zone 2 because 3 teams have legitimate opportunities for that title. Portros has the best position because of the number of games they have in hand, but they do have to perform and get those games won. Now, least we forget, Scenic City is also in that outside position for a zone title mathematically. I wouldn't think practically it would be possible though, because you'd have to have a complete collapse of all 3 teams ahead of them before the end of the season. I just don't think that's going to happen. However, being in the playoff places for Scenic City, when you consider they are a promoted Division 1 team, they won the Division 1 playoff final against Atletico Buford, who actually are leading Zone 1 at the moment, but they won the playoffs in Division 1 last season to earn their right to be in Premier. And usually that's a very big step for teams to go from Division 1 to Premier. Scenic City have done great in the competition so far this season, to be even considered for postseason play with the outside chance of the zone title. So I would say a massively successful season, even if the season stopped right now for Scenic City. But they have some very key and important and exciting games coming up. 2 of them against Portros FC, 1 of them tonight. And so we'll go over those fixtures in a moment. But just a great season. Adds to the excitement to the competition in Zone 2. Soccer saves lives mathematically in the playoff picture, but again, practically like Scenic City as far as the title. For a playoff spot for Soccer Saves Lives, a lot would have to happen ahead of them. But they do have 4 games in hand, or 4 games to play. And any faltering of, particularly of Scenic City, in front of them could open the door for them for a playoff spot. But they're going to have to make sure they take care of their own business first. Dalton United FC, pretty safe from the drop despite the heavy defeat against Atlanta United this week. Out of the playoff picture, but with 2 games to go. Pretty much, but with their form, I think that they should be satisfied with survival. Work on the squad in the off season and see what they can do next season. See if they can get back into contention for his own title next season. You would think that would be their ambition going forward. Now, the other most interesting competition is for the fight against relegation, and we have FC Birmingham and North Georgia United on 3 points each. FC Birmingham with a little bit better goal difference. Now, interestingly enough, they play each other next. And so this is an opportunity for one of the teams to make a statement for survival by getting positive points in the game. And so both of these teams, you have to think they have a lot of quality on the teams. They just haven't been able to get the results. And it's dead even as far as I can think about in this match. So it'll be interesting to see what type of result will come from this, and who it's going to be one of these teams I think that goes down, and it'll be interesting to see which one can get that foothold and hang on to survive. So very compelling competition from top to bottom, a lot to look forward to, and ASMG TV will be here to report on all of it and do a lot of the live streaming for these final deciding games. So now we'll get into the next games coming up in the fixture list. So we'll look at first of all the upcoming games in zone number 1. Tonight we have Kalanji Per Profile hosting Georgia Revolution FC. This is the second meeting between these 2 teams. In the season, Kalanji Per Profile won the first game 2-0, and in the same way took the head-to-head tiebreaker in that match. And so they're looking to try, this is one of the makeup games, they're looking to try to get maximum points because they're trying to stay with Atletico Buford. And they need to win the games in hand, which they have 2 of to make up, to just get even with Atletico Buford. And that's the minimum they need to do. To try to catch them. Pretty solid for both of these teams in postseason for the division playoffs. But again, both will want to get as high up as they can for the home field advantage if they're not able to reach the zone title that's currently being held by Atletico. So the next game on Sunday is Atletico Buford hosting FC Columbus Elite. I will say, although this game is scheduled for 2 o'clock, originally they were playing at the George Pierce Park facility. They kicked them out, as facilities will do without notice. But as of last week, Shorty Howe has done the same thing. And so that game was going to be at Shorty Howe. It's not now. And so I've been assisting with them as conference manager, trying to find a solution for them. for this coming Sunday. We're going to try to keep the game at 2 o'clock as we find another facility, but we might have to change not only the day but the hour as well. But the club is trying hard to overcome this, and you wonder if that will affect the performance on the field, depending on where we're able to help them find a place to play. They're looking at Silverbacks Park as well, but that's a difficult place to get in as well, and very expensive, as we know. So, but that game is going to be very important for Atletico because, if they win out, they control their own destiny. So getting points, whether it's a point or 3, is going to be very important for them going ahead. But if they hope to outpace Kalanji per profile, who are breathing down their necks, they're going to have to try to win this game. But FC Columbus has been in pretty decent form here, and they have some famous high price scalps already under their belts, and they're going to be wanting another one as they've done it before here with Atletico. And then Kalanji Pro Profile, again, this is the regular scheduled weekend game. They're going to be playing against second place Pachuca, Georgia. Pachuca currently ahead of them in the zone table. And so it's going to be a tough game for Kalanji Pro Profile, but they will be at home at Shiloh. And so they have that advantage. And they also have a lot of their youth players back who were participating in the MLS Next Cup. So they should have a strong team there. Pachuca's in fine form, both looking to have the outside chance of the zone title, but they want to also maintain a high playoff position and seeding so that they can have home field advantage. So that's zone number 1. We'll get over to zone number 2. And again, another game tonight. This is another makeup game, one of Portros's games in hand. They're going to be away in Chattanooga to play Scenic City FC at 8 o'clock tonight. Massive game. I think that this is one of the most important games of the season for both zones, because Portros, they're very close to clinching a zone title here. But with the games in hand, if they can convert these games in hand, but they do have to convert them. Just like I said with Kalanji per profile, you have the games in hand, you can count those points, but you can't really count them until you win the game on the field. And it's an interesting dynamic because Portros have just won in the U.S. Open Cup round 3, which we'll touch on before we leave this pod. But it's just this past Sunday. And Scenic City in fine form, a team that's not going to be a walkover in any stretch of the imagination. And so, with the short turnaround, the travel up to Chattanooga, will this affect the performance? And we'll have to wait and see what Coach Frankie Ruiz has done and planned for this. And we'll also have to see how Scenic City responds. And they'll probably approach this game like a cup final. So that's going to be a very interesting game. It'll be on the Portros FC YouTube channel. I believe the call will be by Christopher Aranga for that game. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of result comes out of that, because it has such implications for the league title there as Atlanta United chase Portros FC. Next up, Dalton United FC hosting LSA Norcross Pro. This game originally was at Dalton High School. It is now at Meadow Creek in Norcross, hosted by LSA Norcross, although it's technically a away game for them. I think this is another facility issue. I don't know the details yet, but I was informed yesterday that the facility had switched. So that's a game on Saturday, 7 p.m. As more updates come on that game, I'll let you know, but that should be on ASMG TV as well. We'll switch over to Sunday. Another massive game for the weekend in Zone 2, FC Birmingham against North Georgia United FC. The title and playoffs are not in the picture here, but I tell you, the relegation picture is. And then Portros on Sunday, they play Scenic City away on Wednesday, but then they play them at home in Marietta on Sunday at 5 p.m. It's going to be at Marietta High School. Again, same scenario. Depending on what happens on Wednesday, this game becomes doubly important on Sunday. And it's got to be difficult for both sides when you play teams back to back. Do you keep the same strategies? Because, the other teams are going to know a little bit more about you in less than a week's time to come back and play again. The good thing for Portros is they'll be home. And so, it's an even competition for the two teams coming up this weekend. Both have a home game against each other. So another one to watch out for that'll also be on the Portros Network and on YouTube channel. And then, of course, Soccer Saves Lives. That's going to be an ASMG TV game with Atlanta United with a rare travel away to Shiloh. And again, Soccer Saves Lives chasing a playoff berth. Atlanta United chasing a division title in zone number 2. Both with tons to play for. So there's going to be a lot at stake with this game. Check out the action on ASMG TV and get that notification by subscribing, and you'll get to see the result of that game. So there's going to be a lot to see from the result from the game in Zone 2. Zone 2 probably has the most powerful matchups that's going to make a lot of difference in the rest of the season. So tune in and check out, follow your favorite team, and see what happens next with them. And so one thing we want to do before we get to the U.S. Open Cup results, we're going to take a look at the Golden Boot race here. And we talked about Wilfred Camden and how well he's been doing with Georgia Impact. And he had another brace this weekend, which has put him in pole position now for the Golden Boot, with Nazario Mbamio behind him on 8 points. Mbamio hasn't played as many games there. He's part of the squad rotation strategy at Portros, and which is going to be largely more important than the Golden Boot race right now. I'm sure that Portros wants a fresh Mbamio to play alongside Pedro Lima and Mark Bonneau. And so they want to finish very strongly in an attacking sense, and they'll have him there. But this is a neck-and-neck race here. You got Christian Suazo, also from Atletico Buford, right there with them. Could make a big difference. We talked about Pedro Lima down on 6. And then we have a host of players down on 5 and 4 below that. So we're going to really look at those top 3, I think, the 3 players to look at to see who can reach the summit for the Golden Boot Award at the end of the season. They'll get a plaque from the division, but they're also in the national competition, which is going to have a cash prize for the top scorer for the entire league, the National League. So, these players are looking for multiple honors, and we'll have to see how it goes. And there is the opportunity for players to tie and each receive the award. So another thing to keep an eye on as far as the award. Not only do we have the competition for between the teams in both the zones, but we have this as well in the competition for individual honors. So we'll close out coverage in this back pass with the 2 games that we had involving Georgia Conference teams in the U.S. Open Cup. The first game was Kalanji Pro Profile, who are welcoming in Mint Hill FC, a team out of the Mid-Atlantic UPSL Conference, and a game won by Kalanji Pro Profile by the score of 4-0. All 4 goals scored by Kareem Tamimi, who had a first half hat trick going to really get that game decided early on. Mint Hill, very strong team out of the Mid-Atlantic. Really, they had to travel, had to come down to Kalanji Pro Profile, who have their regulars back now. And Pro Profile just did the job today, and were able to get a clean sheet and the resounding game to go on to the next round, which will be the 4th and final qualifying round in the U.S. Open Cup. So going deep in the competition, and of course the sky's the limit in this cup, and pretty soon you have the opportunity to play against professional opposition in the other leagues. So that was the result from Kalanji's game, one of our Georgia Conference team. The other game was contested by 2 of our teams, Portros FC, who are hosting Atletico Buford. This was a massive game too, for a number of different reasons. One is third round qualifier in the U.S. Open Cup, obviously. But it was a game between the top two teams in both the zones. So Atletico Buford in first place in zone number 1, and Portros first place in zone number 2. Ordinarily, these teams would not meet until the playoffs, but they got an opportunity to meet here in the Cup final. And what a game it was. It was a game in a driving rainstorm, very evenly matched. It was tied 1-1 for most of the game. The 2 goals came early in the first half. A lot of back and forth. Atletico probably had a little bit of an advantage in the second half, but it was a penalty in the 85th minute that was committed by handball in the box there that gave Portros an opportunity. And who steps up but Marc Bernot to convert from the spot to give Portros the famous 2-1 victory over Atletico and advance to the fourth round in the U.S. Open qualifiers. And coincidentally, they will be playing Kalanji per profile at Shiloh Field on November the 23rd. So I believe that game will probably be at 7 p.m. The game will be on ASMG TV. Another great matchup between two teams who ordinarily would not meet during the regular season. This will happen after the regular season of the Georgia Conference completes, but it'll be also right as the division playoff start for the Georgia Conference. So those two dates that both Portros and Kalanji might be playing on that day will be moved to midweek for their playoff spot. And so that's kind of where we are with that. But a great victory for Portros, who remain perfect on the season, both in the division in the zone in the Georgia Conference and now in the U.S. Open Cup, as they go on and try to go as far as they can in that cup competition. So that's it for the results that we've had. And as always, we like to feature the UPSL.com website. It's a location online where you can learn about the league, not just the Georgia Conference, but the entire national setup with all 32 conferences. You see a lot of the profiles and backgrounds on some of the teams in the league. But more importantly, you get to see individual players, follow their journey from the ranks of the UPSL on up to professional careers, whether here domestically in the USA or abroad in some of the footballing nations we have around. So check it out. Some compelling stories there, worth a look there. And as we always say too, if you want to support your favorite team, you can do so by going to the fan apparel shop. There, if you go to UPSL.com, click on the fan store or the banner at the bottom for the fan store, you can pick out your favorite team, purchase a team t-shirt or hoodie or otherwise, and be able to go to the games and in public to support your team with your apparel. So it's a great way to support not only the league, but also a portion of the proceeds go to your favorite team. So you get to support them by purchasing these items online at UPSL.com. So it's a great little program, gets you closer to your favorite team, and it's a great way to represent your favorite team. So check that out. And until then, that's going to be all that we have for you this week in coverage of the UPSL Georgia Premier Division. Keep an eye out on the YouTube channel for ASMG TV. We have other features coming up, including a Division I check-in podcast, as well as set pieces interviews with some of the teams and officials and coaches of the division. Some very compelling information to be had there as well. So until then, we'll come back next week with a review of some of the results from this past weekend and see how the playoff picture, relegation race, and zone titles are working out. But thank you for listening today, and have a great rest of the weekend.